Hey, what's up everybody? Gene back here for Kiko Tabs with another free training on Fridays. So today, we just published an article on the website not too long ago, answering probably our biggest question, and that is, why isn't my glue sticking? I can't get my glue to stick. Today, I'm gonna go over the 6 C's. That's the proven system that we have that makes this glue work every single time. And we're going to talk about a few of the reasons we see glue not sticking when we get guys reaching out or coming through tech support. So without further ado, let's jump in here. Let me flip the camera around and I'm going to go over the 6C card and we'll go from there. The links to our training page as well as the links to the 6C system, everything will be in the comments. If you have any questions, go ahead and comment in here. And Brock will make sure I see them. Hey, what's up, Clay? How are you, brother? Happy Friday. Best Body Shop is in the house today. So let's flip this around. I'm going to get that 6C card up, and let's start talking about it. There we go. Brock is in. So, come on, baby. Flip around. There we go. So let's talk about this right here. Get you locked in. So we're going to talk about the 6C process. So when we do this, what's up, Dave? How are you? When we go to trade shows, when we're teaching, when we're training, when we're following the system, we can glue pull hundreds and hundreds of times all day, every day for days on end and not have a single failed pull. And the reason for that is because we're following the system. So the 6 C's are clean, check, choose, coat, correct, and continue. So really we're going to clean the panel. Our 99% isopropyl alcohol is really all you need most of the time. We're going to check the temperature of our car. What's up, Blake? My GPR son. Miguel, how are you? We're going to check the type of metal we're working on. Are we talking about steel, high strength steel, aluminum, and make adaptations from there. We're going to choose the right kind of tab. So what kind of tab do we need? Do we need ice or original blue? Hey, Brian Milner. Do we want flexible, rigid, curved, straight, super tab? Make the decision for the tab to fit in there. Choose our glue. Today we're going to be using Cam Auto, our strongest glue. Choose our lifting device. The biggest thing with our lifting device is to make sure that our feet are on the crown or beyond. Then we're going to coat the tab. So that means properly coating the tab, getting the right amount of glue in there. We'll be showing you that today as well. Correct the damage. So pull up the lows, knock down the highs, and keep repeating that process as the damage becomes smaller. And then the last C is continue. For a body technician, that means get your DA out and start sanding. If you're a PDR technician, get your tools out and start pushing. That is completely up to the technician's choice. So let me pop you back out of here and flip this back around. So, hey, Tori, how are you? Thanks for coming on. Sorry, my gimbal's a little backwards. So some of the reasons that glue won't stick, right? If you follow those 6 C's, it'll stick every single time without fail. Some of the things we run into is, first, just an unclean panel. If you have wax or paint transfer or plastic transfer, anything like that, anything that is on that surface that is not bare, smooth, clear coat can and will affect your pull. So to clean, again, the 99% isopropyl alcohol. If you need to get a little bit more aggressive, do not use acetones or thinners. Just come in. We like just a good quality rubbing compound. So a 3M compound, I'm going to use that today on the panel. Once your panel is clean, the next thing we can run into is humidity. So whether you're with Big Dent Dave, our other instructor out in Arizona in the desert, or up here in the Northeast or somewhere in the Midwest, there is humidity in the air, and that humidity climbs into the, or gets into the clear coat. And when you bring that hot glue tab in and go to the panel, it forms a layer of water in between and it makes it not stick. So I'm going to show you how with a heat gun or with your torch you can make that go away. Hey, Jeffrey. Hey, Mark. Thanks for coming on. From there, what else can happen is you start to pull too soon, right? Your glue isn't set up yet, and you get a stringy pull or a wet pull. That makes it not work. Or you waited too long, you dropped outside of our ideal temperature range, and your glue wants to shatter and break. Again, not giving you that maximum pull. I'm going to show you how to do everything here today and try to recreate some of these problems with the glue. Last but certainly not least is coating the tab. You want to make sure that, especially on these bigger tabs, you're getting enough glue on, you're going end to end so the whole tab seals down to the panel and gives you a full pull. Anything short of that creates a point for that glue to shear off, and we definitely don't want that. So come on over here and we're going to see how many of these problems we can recreate, and then also show you how hard it pulls when we follow those 6 C's. So let's flip this bad boy around again. Get you popped on our tripod here. There we go. Look down and get some light going. There we go. And guys, this is definitely a Q&A friendly session here. If you've got any questions, please throw them up in the comments. I've got them flying through on my screen, and if I miss something, Brock will be sure to get in here and get us going. So the first thing we can run into is a freshly waxed panel or something like that. So I've got a spray ceramic coating here. We'll give that a quick spritz. Right, so now we've got a nice coat of wax in there. The car's clean right to the eye. It's super smooth though. So if I come in and we try to stick a tab on here, we stick a tab on here where it's nice and smooth. We'll let it nice and dry. Go. Let it set up, and then come in with our lifter, and you saw how easily that came off. So that right there is too smooth. So Wayne wants to know, what about pulling on bare metal? So Wayne, I can tell you, Ryan, how are you? Wayne, I can tell you that the whole system is made specifically to pull on clear coat. However, you still can pull on bare metal. The biggest thing on bare metal is to make sure that it is not rough. I've had pretty good luck on pulls. If I've sanded it to like a 600 to 800 grit, has been plenty smooth enough. It's a reduced power pull, but it definitely will pull. So we were just right here over that freshly waxed spot. Now, the first step you would want to take to see like cleaning is just your 99% isopropyl. Come in with your towel, give it a good scrub here, and we'll come back in with a tab and see what kind of pull we get there, just to show you the difference that even just a quick wipe will make. Kent Baumgartner, nice to have you. Again, guys, any questions, throw them up in the comments, and I am happy to answer them. So while this is drying, we'll sort of test and see. So it's already not stringy. We're already on our way. It's already setting up. The panel's a little cold. Intentionally here to show you what not to do. Feed her backwards. So now this is that same spot that was freshly waxed, and all we did was hit it with our 99% isopropyl. And look at how hard that pulls now, even without taking temperature into account, right? Just making sure that surface is clean is a big thing. I keep going to reach for my ceramic coating. That is definitely not going to remove the glue. We're going to go ahead and remove this. So even there, the difference between not cleaning and just a wipe with 99% makes all the difference in the world. That same spot, if it didn't stick, and we don't need to get crazy with our rubbing compound, but what would be to just come in. Again, we're using a 3M Perfected 2. There's the part number if anybody's curious. Hi, Matt. How are you? Thanks for coming in. So all we would need to do, if the alcohol wasn't enough, is just come in and give it a nice rub. And that's where we start. There's not even any really reason to get the buffer out and get into it. We're just trying to cut the contaminants off the surface. So we're through that. I would again follow that right up with our rubbing alcohol and wipe it away, and it's ready to pull. So that's the first one, is dealing with the wax. So make sure you clean it with your alcohol. If that's not enough, then come in with a rubbing compound followed up by your alcohol. So next, let's talk about some contaminants. So I've got some scraping and scratching here on the car. If you get something like this that comes into the shop, again, the first step is going to be all about cleanliness. So if it's a simple transfer and we can wipe it off with our alcohol, right, you can see that plastic is melting away or rolling away. It's not quite enough. We would do our exact same thing, right? And I'm not going to polish it because you just watched me do that. And I would hit it with some rubbing compound. For transfer like this, I would go ahead and run a buffer over it just to be sure. But if you see that plastic transfer like this, make that go away before you start to pull. Now, that sort of covers us for cleanliness. Let's talk about temperature. Our ideal temperature is between 75 and 85 degrees Fahrenheit. If I had to pick a favorite number, I would go right at 80 degrees. So let's see where we're at today. 72. So we're not hateful today. It's a little bit on the cold side. We would warm this up to get into our 75 to 85 range. Would be there. Hey, Tim. Hello to the Netherlands from Pittsburgh, or the United States, man. I hope you guys are safe and healthy over there with all this craziness going on. So our temperature, again, check it and read it. 72, it's a little cold, and we haven't dealt with any of our humidity that's in the panel. So to warm the panel, when we're teaching out at shops, we will come in with a heat gun and simply warm to 120 degrees. When we do that, we know that the humidity has jumped out of the panel. And you don't need to do this on every pull, just the first one to get rid of the humidity. And there we go, we've reached 120. So we know that the humidity is all gone. Another great way to do that, let me turn over here where we can see. So I'm gonna go right here. What I want you to watch is, I'm going to use a propane torch. Hey, Charles. Hey, Michael. Watch the humidity jump out of the panel. It's going to be that fog. See that fog jump out? As soon as that fog is gone, we know we're good. So if we go back to where we were at 120 and I hit it with a torch, you can see there's no humidity coming out. So that's all taken care of. The humidity's gone. We've warmed the panel up, and we can get in and make our proper pull. So with proper cleaning and proper temperature and our Cam Auto Glue, shout out to Charles. Put our tab on. I've got a nice bead of glue on there. When we place it, you'll see we get a nice bead all the way around the tab. In fact, while that's setting up, let me bring you over and really zoom in on that for you. So see that bead of glue? It almost looks like you took a miniature caulking gun and went all around the outside of that tab. That is the perfect amount of glue for it. Hey, Christopher, what's up from VA? Well, what's up from PA then? Right back at you. Get this bad boy clicked back in here. So now the tab's on. We warmed the panel, so it's a little warm. It's already beyond stringy. I'm going to show you stringy here in a minute. As we drop down in temperature, and all of these steps are to get the maximum pull. We don't need a maximum pull every single time. However, if you follow all of these steps, you will have more power, more pulling power than you need. So right now we're at 108. Oh, there we go. We're going to get shout outs from all over the country. South Louisiana. There we go. Dustin, what's going on, Dustin? So we're coming down in temperature, 106. Still a little warm. We'll let that cool down some more. If we had not heated all the way to 120, we would likely already be able to pull this. We'd be like 40 seconds on a tab this size. Down to 98. There we go. So Brock is putting it out there. If you have bare metal, polish it as smooth as you can. I sort of have an idea that if we were to actually take bare metal and polish it to a mirror finish, I bet we would get pulls almost as hard as a clear coat pull. So there they go. We're down to 89. I'm going to go ahead and get my lifter on there. And I want to show you just how hard this little tab, I'm not sure how many millimeter size, but it's about the size of a quarter, will pull. So we're following all of our everything, right? Temperature, cleanliness. And you can see, look how hard I'm pulling that panel, right? More power than you need. In fact, we would typically not want to pull that hard and we could end up stretching the metal. However, following the rules, trusting the process, these are the kind of results that you can get every single time. So let me pan down here and see if I can get you to see just how high that pulled. So it's right here. Look at the high that little tab was able to pull just by following the steps and getting a maximum pull out of it. Hey Ryan, what's up? Hello from Texas. Brandon, hi, how are you? Brandon, what did we spray to remove the glue easier? So Brandon, what we're using, this is our cleaning and release spray. This is 99% isopropyl, so rubbing alcohol. That's our cleaning solution for the panel. It's also our release solution for the tab. And Tim asked, what do you do when the glue doesn't stick to the tabs? Often it sticks to the metal, but not on the tabs. Okay, perfect. Oh, we got somebody from the UK. Hey, Michael, how are you? So when it sticks to the panel and the tab pulls away, the first likely problem that you're doing is pulling too soon. So let's talk about that. So here's our tab. I'm going to show you the proper amount, the proper coat. So our glue is smoking hot, 190 Celsius. Is it at? Around 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Hi, Susan. I want to get a nice bead in the middle. My little tech tip is to swirl it. That breaks the string away so you don't make a big mess. And let's come out here and stick the tab. Now, I didn't warm the panel. I didn't check the temperature because I'm going to show you what happens when you pull too soon, or it's what we call a wet pull. So you saw how easily that pulled up compared to that one that hooked up. First thing I want you to notice, or if you're trying to identify what your problem is, see how we've got all that residue on the face of the tab there? That is an indicator of a pull that was too hot. If you see that, know that you need to let your glue set up a little bit more. Let me release this tab and show you what a tab looks like with that. So when we look at the tab, our last pull, our last pull was just a touch hot, but you saw how hard it pulled. Pretty smooth overall with just a little bit of whiteness in the middle. I could have waited a hair longer for that. This one we just did, you can look at the texture across the tab. That is an indicator that you pulled too soon. Or if you let it sit for a little while and you still got that, you want to make sure that your glue is not boiling in your gun. When the glue comes out, you want to make sure, here, I'll throw some on just to show you. You want to make sure that your glue looks like this when it's coming out. See the smoke wafting off? Yeah, there you can see the smoke. So smoking hot, like that. And then, let me get this up on camera. See how there's no bubbles in it at all? That is how you can just look at your glue. Hey, what's up, Ontario, Canada, Indiana, USA, what's going on, guys? So your glue should be just like that. We want it super, literally smoking hot, not full of bubbles. So that's how you know you're there. The ideal glue temperature, so we set our guns to 190 Celsius. That's somewhere between 3 and 350 Fahrenheit is exactly where we want to be. So smoking hot, not boiling is the magic thing that happens there. So that's the first thing that can happen is you've pulled too soon and the tab stays on the car or the glue stays on the car and breaks away from the tab. On the flip side of that, you could be too cold as well. So let's do again. I'm going to show you the proper coat here. Well, actually, yeah, we'll do a proper coat on this one. So there's our bead. Remember the swirl for breaking that string away. Hey, what's up, Alexandria? Louisiana? Nice. So let's just stick this back down again. Now what I want to do here is get the glue cold. So the panel's 60 degrees. I can't really get it that cold in here. I got a little bit of freeze spray just to demonstrate this. So let's cool it down. And this is definitely going to be too cold. Hopefully we don't break the tab, but I want you to see the glue. Yeah, that's perfect. So this is a very extreme case. So remember the hot glue left this residue, right? So that was from too hot of a pull. This is an extremely too cold pull. Look how the glue is still on the tab. You saw that there was no pull at all. Hey, what's going on, Julio? Nice to see you from California. Thanks for coming in. So what I want you to see here is look at the edges of that tab, and that's actually the glue. See how the glue just broke away and shattered? And then the glue here, it completely tore out. So obviously hitting it with the freeze spray made it extreme, but that really demonstrates what a cold pull will do. So too cold equals no pulling power, and then too hot also equals no pulling power. So there's two big reasons why your tab is not sticking to your glue. While we're on that subject, if you're following your temperatures and you're doing everything else right, and you are still running into a problem, sometimes just from use, like this one's still pretty shiny, but well, if I go there, you can see how there's a little bit of haziness to the face of this tab. So that's just from falling on the ground, bouncing around in the toolbox with other tabs. When this happens, this is what I've found works best. So this is with an open flame, so be careful. Do not burn yourself. Follow all safety regulations. If you can't use an open flame where you're at, go somewhere else. But here's all we need to do to clean up that face. So we've got it there. Let's see if I can get it to where get a reflection. So really pay attention to the tab here. And what I want to do is I just want to flash it. So I'm going to come by it like this with the torch. So we're just going to go right here. And I don't know how well you saw it. We've got a YouTube video that really just resurfaces the face, almost is what I call it. But look, even right there, if you can go back. Hi, Emilion. That right there will bring new life back to a tab that's been dropped around and beat up its whole life. That's all you need to do is reflash it like that. So we've gone over too hot, too cold, just right, and our temperature there. Hey, Dave, how are you? Thanks for coming in. Those are reasons why your tab won't stick. What questions do you guys have? You fired a couple at me. Again, I want this to be a big Q&A. This is our number one question we get is why isn't my tab sticking? Hit me up with one and let me hear it. So while we're waiting for questions, I'll show you another reason where people fail. So I'm going to make a real small example here, and that's improper coating of the tab. So on this little tab, I showed you perfect coats. We see a lot of guys that will come in and I don't know if they're afraid to use it or they're not sure what to do, and they will put just a little dab of glue here. So that's smaller than the size of a pea, and then they take it and they put it on the panel, and if you look, you can see that the glue is not out to the edge of the tab, right? It's just about the size of a dime inside of the tab. That creates a shear point, which does not give you the maximum pull for this tab. So let's pull this up and see what it does. See how easily that broke away? Because we didn't have enough glue. That really becomes an issue when we get into our bigger tabs, like this centipede. And what I'll see technicians do here is sometimes they'll come in and they think they have to coat the whole tab. So they'll do like this. And they're trying to zigzag back and forth. Well, that's no good because that doesn't keep the glue going together. I also see guys come and they'll put a bead here and a bead here and a bead here. That's also incorrect. What you want to do is get about a nice 1/4 inch to 3/8 of an inch bead right down the middle. And again, notice the wafts of smoke coming off and no bubbles in my glue. Coat your tab like this. This is proper coating. Both of these are improper. Yes, you should pull between 75 and 80. Oh, we got somebody from Belgium. Hey, Jean. So there is that. So that is a bad coat. You saw a bad coat on the small one. I also want to show you, if you don't go to the edges of the tab. So what we're going to do here, sorry about that, we just lost the microphone. Can I get a thumbs up if you guys can still hear me, please? Good deal. Perfect. Thanks, guys. So you also don't want to only coat part of the tab. If you're coating part of the tab, it creates like the ability to shear it off. So if we go just in the middle here, like that, right? We're trying to pull something smaller, and we go like this. When we place our tab, you can even see, right, that see how the tab wants to curl up away from the end? As you begin to pull this, it's going to want to do the exact same thing. My recommendation is, if you need a smaller tab, go ahead and take a saw or a sharp knife and cut these tabs down to what you need. As I look through my personal collection, I've got all kinds of different tabs. Brock, if we're good on questions, give me a we're good. I saw a couple blow by whenever I was talking. So what happens is, as you start to pull this, because that end is coming up, it just wants to shear away. So let me see if I can grab this edge and show you what that shear pull looks like. See how it's almost, even with all that glue, it took almost no effort at all to get that tab to come off. Also, we were a little hot still, right? See our texture as we're learning through all of this. So a couple of things. Not enough glue. Dalton, no luck with the 5, 7, and 9. I will talk about that in 1 second. So, too hot and not enough glue, that's like a bad combo for this. So make sure you are keeping it all, get your temperature right and coat the whole tabs. So Brock said, somebody asked, are there any specific requirements or things to keep in mind when working on aluminum as opposed to steel? Yes. So the 6 C's we have here really work for everything. They were designed specifically for steel. There is also a 6C card that there is for aluminum. So we just add a couple of things to that. Let me flip this around. I feel weird not being on camera talking. So when we're talking about aluminum, the things will change are just 2 or 3. We will always start with compounding the panel. So everything we're doing on aluminum really is to make just the absolute maximum pull we can get. So we will start with a rubbing compound, a quick polish to make sure on like a microscopic level it's nice and smooth. From there, clean again with your isopropyl alcohol. When you're going for that maximum pull on aluminum, we will heat to 120 degrees the first time. And then each additional time, we're still going to go up over 100. We'll also warm our tabs, not to 120, but to well above room temperature. Get our glue on, get on the panel, and let everything cool down together. As it all cools down together, we have found that we get an even stronger pull than bringing that hot glue in on a colder tab. We also will almost always go for our original blue. It's more flexible. We will use a slightly larger tab to be able to stay in the game longer. So I might come in, if we were pulling a tab this size, right? If we glued down and we were trying to pull a dent exactly the size or a little smaller, instead of trying to pull the whole thing, I would come in with a smaller adapter, get on, and use that extra surface area we've got to stay in the pull longer. I also like to bring the feet of the lifter in and pin as much of the metal down around that dent as we can, so we can concentrate that pull and force it right up. So I hope that answers your question about aluminum. David asks, is there an easy way to get the glue off of a car after the pull? I spend more time trying to get the glue off. Sure thing, David. So let me show you. So what we've got here, this was our way too cold of a pull. Hey, Bob, thanks for coming in. If we try to pull this off, it can be a pain in the butt. Maybe with a little bit of alcohol, and let me see if it'll still chip away. Yeah, so see, you're running into a problem. This is probably what you're talking about. The glue wants to break, and then you spend all this time chipping it off. If you run into that, the easiest thing to do is to take your heat gun or torch. We're going to do torch for speed's sake, and just give it a quick flash. That warms the glue back up, and then instead of it chipping away, this should come off in one nice easy pull. So if you're fighting taking the glue off, there we go, even that little bit. If you're fighting taking the glue off, just warm your panel up a little bit. Craig, how are you, brother? Nice to see you in. Hope you are surviving over there across the pond. That is how you take the glue off, nice and easy, for sure. I saw another question roll by. I'm scrolling back. Brandon asked, is there a certain time to wait to pull, or is it just temperature based? Brandon, it is absolutely temperature based. We want you pulling between 75 and 85 degrees Fahrenheit every single time. That's the perfect window. If I'm doing a bigger complex pull, I'll go ahead and set up my heat gun on a stand and keep the panel at 80 degrees the whole time. So if you got more questions, fire them up. Hey, what's up, Steve Dyke? How are you? So this is exactly what you need to know to make these pulls work every single time. Guys, I'm telling you, we'll go to these trade shows. We were at SEMA for 3 days. We did hundreds and hundreds of pulls without a single failed pull. When you follow these steps, it works every single time. Clean your panel. Isopropyl alcohol, a rubbing compound if you need it. Never, never, never use lacquer thinner or an acetone-based product. Those will both attack your tab. Check your panel. Know what you're working on. Is it aluminum or steel or high-strength steel? Check that temperature. Make sure you're between 75 and 85 degrees Fahrenheit. Get rid of that humidity. Heat to 120 or flash it off with the torch. Choose your tab based on what you need. Choose your glue based on how hard you need to pull or what you're pulling, and your lifter. Make sure you coat those tabs properly. You saw proper and improper coating. Correct. That's pulling up your lows, knocking your highs down. Pick your tab to fit the shape of the dent you're trying to get into. And then when you get it to where you're ready to go, you're done. Continue. So if you're a PDR tech, grab your picks and go to town. If you're a body tech, it's time to get the DA and get your filler going. So the 6Cs, Brock will put a link up to the 6C training section on the in the comments here. On there, we've got all kinds of trainings, paid, free, you name it. We want to show you how to do it. That link is in the description and likely in the comments. Julio asked, are there different glues? Do the different glues work the same in different temperatures? So we have, I don't know that I have my gray glue. You got a tab weld? So we have got 3 glues. We have got our Cam Auto, which is what we use today. This is our collision glue. This is our strongest pulling glue. I think somebody asked that up above. Just need 1 stick. We have our green, cactus green, burro, whatever you want to call it. This is our great general purpose glue. That's for all your small and medium pulls. Works for air temperatures up to about 85 degrees. And then we have our tab weld, which is the gray glue. That is a super fast setting, super hard pulling glue. Again, for small and medium tabs. This will still set up in air temperatures above 85 degrees. That helps you deal with your higher temperatures. When and if you're cold, you need to warm your panels up. You need to warm your tabs up. We showed you what happens when a tab gets too cold and the glue just wants to shatter away. There's no glues that we recommend working cold. So that is a cold pull right there. Let's pop this off and flip you around. All right, guys. Ryan is asking about, what about glue from the craft store? Ryan, we really don't recommend glue. I started out with Walmart glue, like I'll say that. There is no comparison between how hard we can get these specialized glues to pull and what you can buy at the craft store. Charles, that was on here before, they took the Cam Auto glue, that's our collision glue, and glued it to the front support of a car and picked the car up off the ground. I'm not going to test anything from the craft store for that. We've got maximum pulls with this glue. That's exactly what we want. Steve has a question. Understanding that tabs are consumables, is there a reason why I had 6 tabs break in 1 week? Something I could change? So likely that is probably a user error. So let me show you the proper way. Let me show you a couple of things that you can do to help avoid that. Bob, you are absolutely right. Glue has come a long, long way, and it's worth every penny. Really, the collision glue is like $2 a stick, and you should be charging through for that anyways. So let me, I can find a dead center here. I'll sacrifice one for you to show you what not to do. All right, guys, so the question is there something we can do when you're breaking tabs? So what we got is a dead center nickel size tab. Let me put this on here. And a couple of things that make these more prone to breaking. First, this shaft is significantly thinner than our standard shaft. Part of that is the dead center technology. That thinner shaft actually allows the neck to pull the face up and get a pull concentrated in the middle. So they are more prone to breaking, but let me show you a couple things you can do. First is, I really like a mini lifter is my favorite way to go on these. However, sometimes you need a slide hammer. So when you're going to use a slide hammer, so right now, like I'm in and pushing down, and then when I would strike, when I would come up, that's going to come up and shock into the head of the tab. So if we're down, it's almost like a double whammy, like it's coming up and hitting there. So if you're going to use a slide hammer, first would be to preload. So I just hold up. See that little 1/8 of an inch of a move? That right there will help keep you from shocking the tab. So that will help and let you go. Another thing I see guys do that is incorrect on these tabs is when they come in with their lifter, and it might be a little bit harder to do on here. It definitely happens on rails. So let me loosen this up to get a little extra slack. Is they're not straight up and down. So if I'm here and I'm straight up and down, like everything's working to my advantage. If I get a little bit off center and I start pulling this way, right, we're starting to stress either the head or where the shaft meets the base at, right? We can get, in fact, you can see that I'm wiggling the head of that tab, and we're just creating stress. So as we're pulling and pulling and pulling and doing this over and over again, we're just weakening the plastic. Make sure, I like to really make sure that all of my slack is out of this. So there's nothing but straight up, and then there's no sideways movement, right? That's why the Robo is so nice, because you can get perfectly straight every single time. Hey, Vicente. And pull straight up. Super strong. And if I come down here, I really want to show you what this is doing. Lock this in. So the dead center tabs, again, are a little bit more prone to breaking, but it's because of this magic, that flex right in the middle there, right? And we're hitting it hard. I got to glue this back on to show you one more thing not to do. So we'll just glue this right here. So making sure that you're pulling straight is absolutely key in not breaking these tabs. Another place I see these guys go wrong is when you're taking the tab off, right? When you're doing everything right, just like we've shown you today, right? You can pull these monster highs, and we don't want to do that. We want to pull but not over pull. So a lot of times we're stuck or left with the tab still being stuck on the panel, and we need to get it off. A lot of guys, they squirt their alcohol and then they start pushing on the tab, right? So if I'm trying to push the tab off, look what I'm doing to that shaft. Do you see, right? And again, like I'm sort of making this a sacrificial tab. Look right here at the stress that I'm putting on that tab. So if you're releasing your tabs like this, again, like if you've ever had a piece of plastic in your hand and you keep folding it back and forth, right? It turns white and then it fatigues and then there's no strength. You're doing the same thing here. So to release these, put your alcohol on. Do not try to push it off, and just hold a little bit of tension on here and let the alcohol work. If you follow those few steps, you will break way, way, way fewer tabs than you are now. Again, it's a consumable. Charge the insurance companies for this. We do. And here's a great tip. When you break a tab, don't throw it away. I keep mine on my cart or put them in your estimator's drawer. And then when you're asking the insurance company to pay for your glue kit and your glue tabs, and they say, well, you guys can use those over and over again when you've got a handful of broken tabs, say, look, these are all consumable. These things cost me $2 and $3 a piece. I need paid for them, and they'll pay you for them. So I hope that answers your question. Let me pop this off of here. All right, guys. So thanks so much for coming in today. I hope that answers a lot of your questions on why the glue isn't sticking. I promise if you follow the 6 C's, you will get repeatable, strong pulls every single time without fail. Check the link in the description to all of our trainings and free resources. If you want trained and you want to learn more, the links are there all in one place. Brock's got you. If I missed your question, send us a message and we'll get there. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next Friday, 12 Central, with another 30-minute live stream to teach you something about glue pull repair. You guys have a great weekend. Stay safe and stay healthy.